Hi, my name is Amanda Johnson. This is my final grad project for CSCI E59, Where to Move. In this project, I'm talked about the factors to consider when moving, the database information, my database schema diagram, the database scaling, technologies I use, setting up the database, and the queries run by the database. Factors when considering move, deciding where to move and buy a house is a big decision. So I created this database to help with that factor. Database information was pulled from realtor.com by zip code, and it is only the month data for April 2025. This is my database schema diagram. Location is my primary table, and its primary key is postal code. And then I created 11 other tables, and the postal code is the foreign key on all those tables. Database scaling, how will this database scale? I can always put new monthly data in it and make it a historical database, or I can always overwrite the database to keep this a current information. Also, additional data can be added, like school ratings or crime rates by zip code. As more data is inserted over time, how will my system grow? If it does become a historical database, the primary key would need to change. A composite key of month, date, and postal code would become the primary key, and then the foreign key on all the other tables. The technologies I used was MySQL Workbench. This was the main system I worked with on this database project. It was created to database and tables as well as load the data. I use Microsoft Excel as the file I downloaded with CSV. I use Excel to make all the blank cells null and then help me know the amount of rows there were. Finally, I did have to use ChatGPT once as I was having a lot of issues loading the data into MySQL Workbench as it was processing very slow due to the foreign keys checks it does. So with 11 tables using foreign keys, it was becoming a multi-day process. So with time running out, I finally asked ChatGPT if there was another way to load the data, and it provided me with a command that I used to load the data in a more timely manner. So setting up the database, step 1, I created the database. Step 2, I created the tables in the database. Step 3, I adjusted the CSV file, making all the blank cells null. Step 4 was uploading the data into my SQL Workbench. This is where I use the command from ChatGPT. And then step 5 is I was confirming all the data lines imported correctly. I ran 5 queries on my data. The first was how many zip codes are there for Columbia, Missouri? And the average list price per zip code. This was for a buyer looking to move to Columbia, Missouri. This will help them know the housing price market for the different areas of the city. Here's the query I run, and then it came back with 3 of the zip codes from Columbia, Missouri. The second query, which 10 zip codes have the highest active listing count with the highest price reduction? This was for a buyer trying to find a market that has inventory that is not moving as quickly. So here's my query on that. Query 3, which 5 zip codes have the lowest median listing price and the greater than 100,000 with the highest median square feet? This is for a buyer that can help them find the most bang for their buck. Query 4, the total count of North Dakota zip codes and a price increase count for those zip codes, not to include increased amounts that are null or 0. This is for a buyer looking in North Dakota. Overall, the price increased price count will show them the most active markets. The final query, 5 zip codes with the highest new listings and lowest new listings greater than 0. So for a buyer, general knowledge of the area around the country with new inventory levels could be helpful. Finally, this residential database can help when considering a move, either nearby or across the country. Currently, it only contains the most recent historical months data, but it can expand with more information and or history. But only 5 queries are run on the data. It has the potential to provide help to many more queries. Finally, I am finished. This is my final class for my degree. So with this final project, I am done. Thank you.